Welcome to another edition of G-Rated. I'm your host, Gerald Bourget, and today I am joined by Saul, Totri, and Shawn to talk about the movie sensation that is...
Greatest movie of all time.
Okay.
We're already starting this.
Oh, sorry. No disrespect to Sharknado.
We're talking Cocaine Bear today, which is exactly what the title said it would be. Guys, I don't want to say this movie blows because it's a cheesy one-liner, but
it was exactly what is. It is what we thought it'd be.
Yeah. I had no problem with it.
oh god,
I had no problem with it at all.
Okay.
Like, if you knew going into it that you were not going to see a cinematic masterpiece,
Right.
that the storylines were probably going to be flawed, and the acting was going to be mid,
Right.
then you left satisfied.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
Visually, it was kind of an interesting. Like, it wasn't like it was kind of well shot. I feel like you got some cool scenes of the forest that looked nice.
If you were sober for the movie,
yeah,
Yes.
there you go.
would you still feel like you left happy?
3 of the 4 of us were not sober when we watched that movie.
We're not sober. Okay.
Were you sober when you watched it?
I was sober when I watched
That's
it.
your first
Oh,
mistake.
okay, yeah, that's your
That's
problem
your
right
first
there.
That movie was not. That movie was about drugs. It was not
that
meant to be
movie was
watched
not
sober.
made to be seen sober.
Exactly. See, this was literally in my notes. I feel like unless you were high, you were not going to
Yes.
enjoy it.
Exactly.
What were the things that you guys did like about it? Let's start there.
Just the over-the-top stupidity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like homeboy getting shot, his brains getting blown
Yeah,
out.
that scene with the park ranger, just the park ranger's
Yeah,
moment in the movie was hilarious to me. She was so funny.
Shout out Margot Martindale. She is fantastic in everything. Also Carrie so I don't know if you guys have ever seen the show The Americans at all.
I have
a
not.
little bit here.
So Margot Martindale, the park ranger's in it. Carrie Russell, the mom, is in it, and Matthew Rhys, who had the very brief cameo at the very beginning,
Yeah, he's
the guy that
jumped
falls out of the
plane.
plane.
Gotcha.
They were all in that. They were phenomenal. So I was super happy to see them reunited. It was a tragedy for me to see them reunited in this. But Carrie Russell was a positive for me. She was kind of the only character that I think I cared about at all.
I don't even think I cared about any of the human characters, to be honest with you.
I think
Like,
that's fair.
outside of the park ranger, and she was just hilarious. Like, I wasn't attached to any single character in the movie.
No.
I don't know if I've ever watched a movie like that where I was just like going in and I feel like it was like zoomed out 300 times and I'm just like watching this take place. Honestly, one of my favorite parts was finding out that the Cubs were also
Yes.
addicted to coke.
Coke
I
and
mean,
Cubs.
I was gonna say the only thing I was attached, like the only time I felt like a tinge of sadness or anything, despite all the people who got mauled to death by a bear, was when I thought the bear died. I was like, damn, the bear didn't deserve all that.
Yeah.
Cocaine cures.
Or we didn't
all,
even
apparently.
talk about the fact, like, I know when we saw it, like we brushed past the fact when the bear was climbing the tree and then all of a sudden goes all the way down, climbs up the other tree and just mauls the other dude entirely. Like, we didn't even talk about that. That was hilarious.
I mean, okay. So I think the point is like to not care about any of the characters,
Yes.
right? Because they're all going to die horrible grisly deaths, and it makes it funny.
No
Because
pun
otherwise,
intended.
what's
Yes.
the point? Grisly deaths? Oh, I
was a
didn't,
brown
even,
bear.
I didn't even intend that one.
There you go. There
That's
you
how
go.
deeply embedded it is. I did think that the park ranger, the way that she died on the stretcher,
Was amazing.
that was my favorite death, probably.
Yes.
Does anyone have a better death from the movie? Because I'm trying to remember.
That is
it.
by far my favorite death. So much so that even other people in the theater, it felt weird. Like when we were watching the movie, it was really quiet.
Yeah.
Like most of the movie until she died in that horrendous way. And
That was what broke the seal.
there was this group of people up in the top that just started laughing their ass off, and it caused us all to start laughing our ass off. And it was pretty funny.
Well,
I love that.
That was immediately followed by the nurse getting ejected out of the front
Yes.
windshield of the
Yes.
thing, which was not funny at all.
No.
But I was dying. Like that whole scene was hilarious to me, and I don't know why.
The fact that this bear could haul ass at
Yes.
65,
Yes.
75.
And the
all of a
motherfucker
sudden,
take flight.
he's got cheetah powers, and he just like, come on, bro, what are we doing here?
Okay, I wanted to ask about, because you mentioned the cinematography, but like the CGI, were we?
Oh no, it was terrible.
Okay.
But I mean, like, it was
Like,
again.
I don't know how.
If you went into that expecting anything, then
No.
it's entirely your fault. Like if you didn't like that movie, I don't think you can blame anybody other than yourself, because it was not supposed to be good. No one was watching it being like, this might win an Oscar.
Awards, yeah.
Like
No.
it was bad, and it was supposed to be bad. It was fun.
I will say, out of all the quote unquote movies that you go in like expecting to be bad, like they're just dumb, funny movies, it wasn't my favorite dumb funny movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
Like Sausage Party, like we had this conversation the other day. Like Sausage Party is another movie where you go in, you know it's gonna be dumb as shit.
Right.
Right? You're not going in sober. Otherwise, it's gonna be an awful movie. But like if I'm comparing those two, and obviously wildly different plots,
Right.
Sausage Party is a better dumb funny movie than Cocaine Bear was to me.
Right. There was
Yeah,
no
true.
2-minute montage of bears having sex at the very end of this
I will
movie.
say
So that was
It's in part 2.
The scene of the kids eating the cocaine was also hilarious to me.
That's ballsy to do
The-
that.
yeah,
too.
and the little blonde kid was so funny to me. Like when he flips out on Ray Liotta at the end, he's like, "You're a shitty dad," which Ray Liotta's entire existence in this movie is a whole other topic that I need to discuss. But
Almost
yes.
the
completely
children were
pointless.
pretty funny.
Yeah, almost completely pointless for him to be in the movie. Also, shout out to Ray Liotta for always dying in the most epic of ways
Yes.
in movies.
I'm like, okay, are we like? I just am never gonna get. I will die not getting over the fact the last time I see Ray Liotta alive is him
Yeah.
getting his guts ripped out by bear cubs and tossed off of a cliff.
that was
Bear Cub's addicted to coke.
Yes,
Right.
and I was just like, this is my memory. This is the last time I'm gonna see Ray Liotta. Like,
Yeah.
what are we? And I mean, good on him. I'm sure he got the bag right before he died, and it was like, I mean, he obviously did the movie, so.
right.
But it was just like I just the whole time I'm like, this is a legitimate actor. Like he's been in very good movies,
Mhm.
and this is his last hurrah.
It's ironic that he got the bag for this movie, but he could not get the bag in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Damn.
Yeah. Cold World.
R.I.P. baby.
Yeah, that was also in my negatives as an unfortunate side note. Like this is his last major role in a movie right before he passed. R.I.P. Ray.
I think he did a good job for as good as I think he did as
I-
good of a job as he could have in
I
this
think
movie.
he might have been high for
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
It was he was very phoned in, but like it's hard to get up for this
Yeah,
type
you
of
really
script.
oughta, like, what-
it's what it is. I did think like the funniest bit of the movie to me, aside from the deaths and whatever, was when the person asked him, he was like, you left the, what did he say?
Oh,
You left my dog in the car, and he was like, you left my son in St. Louis.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna say. He's like, I'm not. This isn't daddy daycare.
Right.
Or when the kid was like, Grandpa, watch this, and he just falls back into the ball pit, and he's just like, yeah, awesome, great. Just like
It do be
was
like
funny
that
to
with
me.
kids sometimes.
Oh,
So-
my God. Yes.
Okay, so any other positives we want to cover before I get to rant and rave a little bit?
There was positives.
Yeah.
The Bears' acting job was awesome.
Yeah, phenomenal.
No, there's no.
No.
Oh, I will say another really funny scene was when the one kid from the little like trio of kids who were harassing people,
Mm.
like the one that survived, and he was like, "They're my best buddies," and it flashes to them, and they're like, he was like getting ready to go to New York. The other two
Oh,
have
no,
like their
they're
heads blown off,
Yeah.
like that. He was funny. Oh. Also, very end of the movie, after credit scene,
Mm.
where he's getting picked up by the hitchhiker with all the sheep, and he throws the duffel bag in the back, and then he realizes like, I don't want cocaine sheep on my hand, so then he goes and he takes it out. I thought that was funny.
They're really laying the groundwork for some sequels
Yes,
with
yes.
cocaine
Cocaine
cubs,
sheep.
cocaine
Yeah.
sheep.
I mean, I'd watch them.
They
I'll
made
be honest,
how
I'll
many?
watch 'em.
How many Sharknadoes
As long
did they
as
make?
there's OGs involved, I would go watch it.
Okay, so here let's do some criticisms and concerns now. Oh, I did forget the one where Marco Martindale shot the guy in the head.
Yes.
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 That was
That
the
was
best
funny.
part of the movie.
Like,
Yeah.
And then
close the door.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's like, you're sorry?
Yeah.
Like, he's dead. Like, that
Yeah.
set me.
That was phenomenal. My biggest criticism, if you're gonna be a bad movie, you kind of alluded to this, like it wasn't as like full throttle as I
Yes.
kind of was expecting it to
Yeah.
be. I thought it would be a little bit more entertaining. And granted, I was not high, so I'm automatically at a disadvantage compared to you guys. But like I just felt like it was gonna be more.
Yeah.
It was like a slow buildup
Mhm.
for whatever reason.
Yes.
You're
Right.
like, we know what this movie's about.
Right.
Like, let's get to the juicy shit right away. Like
Mhm.
the fact that we had to wait like basically 15 to 20 minutes before we finally saw said bear. I was
Mhm.
like, what are we doing here? That was just
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
It didn't fully lean into the fact that it wanted to be a bad movie, or at least it didn't as fast as like it probably should have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. I think it's probably a referendum on both movies, but I laughed harder during Avatar than I did at any point during
That's
this movie.
true.
Like
That is true. I'll give you
the
that.
whale scene in Avatar had me legitimately belly laughing to the point where it hurt, and that didn't happen during this movie.
Yeah.
That might be more a knock on Avatar than
Yeah, one of them's supposed to be funny, the other's not, and neither of them accomplished their job. Like there were moments in this movie that were funny, and I laughed at it. But Saul summed it up afterwards. Like it was about what I expected. Maybe I expected it to be a little funnier.
Yeah,
and you know, maybe I was giving the movie too much credit. But because I mean, that's one thing. It wasn't like a cast full of like comedic actors.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, it wasn't the funniest movie I've ever seen, even though it was supposed to be.
If you're going to try and execute something like that, you definitely need to have some people that are kind of slapstick comedians that are just known for that kind of shtick. Like
that's what Sausage Party does.
This whole thing could have been turned around if Will Ferrell's in the movie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen. Yeah.
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
I mean, that would be fascinating too.
That'd be funny too. But,
playing the part of Cocaine Bear.
Joe Rogan, drinking all his.
He'd make a great Ray Liotta. He would have been great
As
at
the
Ray
bear
Liotta's role.
on the podcast.
So yeah, I mean, it felt like it wasn't leaning in one direction, and by default, they kind of found themselves in the middle ground that just didn't work.
Right. I feel like if it had just like leaned into it fully, like, we're going full tilt. This is ridiculous. This is going to be the dumbest thing you've seen all year. I would have probably enjoyed it a little bit more. It felt like at some points it was actually trying to be like a legit horror movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a cocaine bear that's all CGI.
I also say like the whole like the kids and the mom looking like that was just not really necessary to the movie, like at all. Like you really only needed Ray Liotta and all of that, like the cocaine, the people looking for the cocaine.
Right.
Otherwise, it was like, why are we trying to get emotional here? Like you at no point in this movie have you really forced me to care about this little girl, and now she's lost in the cave, and I don't care.
Right. Yeah. If you're gonna do that, you at least have to have the little girl and the mom's relationship fleshed out more than like 2 seconds.
Yeah. The only thing you get from them is like, oh, she's trying to go to Nashville with this guy she works with. Like, she's a bad mom apparently. What are we doing? And then through all of this, again, you deserve to be happy, mom. Okay, like cool.
Yeah,
well, it was also unnecessary.
I will say there was the one other part that I did find a little bit funny in the movie was when the bear crashed and just laid down on top of the guy. That was funny to me.
That was funny. Am I often thinking that I was maybe expecting more imaginative or amusing deaths? I feel like we got a couple.
Yeah. They were kind of mid.
Yeah,
they were very mid. Like you didn't even see him really tear anybody apart for long stretches. I mean, like he bit some dude's face and maybe like ate a couple other people, but you couldn't see what he was tearing apart. And so it was just like, all right. And then the cop, like also another random thing that they threw in. I thought he was going to have a bigger role in the story. At the beginning.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, he gets out there, then he gets shot in the stomach and he dies on top of a roof.
The whole betrayal thing was weird to me.
That was so like that character and the little dog again, completely unnecessary.
With the dog story, I still don't understand the dog storyline.
There was no point.
I thought like he was going to go back and then like maybe he had a flashback of another dog that he had that was killed by a bear and now he's back for revenge or something, but nothing. It was just he just kept having these random ass flashbacks of this dumbass dog.
I will say like that the whole interaction of O'Shea getting his finger shot off and then the cop being on top of the gazebo and him like not being able to get down and then basically just like sitting, like he's just sitting under the gazebo and like no one wants to do anything. Like him trying to get off the gazebo was kind of funny to me. Like there was just a bunch of moments in this movie, but it was never strung together for it to make it a funny movie.
No, it was a bad movie and a funny movie all at once, but it wasn't a bad funny movie. Like it was in the context of what it should be.
It almost felt like a movie full of skits.
Yes.
And some of them were good. Most of them were bad.
Yes.
And they all involved a bear addicted to cocaine.
Yeah. Right. I enjoyed the bit about he shot 2 of your fingers off. They're not even next to each other.
He's like, how did he do that?
Another thing, just the thread of him getting so upset about his jersey getting ruined. Like, cool. But that's like, it wasn't funny.
No.
And ultimately, it was just unnecessary. This movie was full of unnecessary stuff.
Some of the jokes did fall flat, and I was disappointed. If you're going to have Isaiah Whitlock Jr. in a movie and you don't even get one shit from The Wire out of him, like, what are we doing here? I was disappointed in that. Any other concerns, any other final thoughts before we get to our final score?
I almost forgot. Did O'Shea Jackson, did he even survive?
Yes.
Yes,
did
he was.
survive.
He was
He
in
got
that.
shot in the neck.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he survived.
And he got stabbed. He got shot in the neck, stabbed in the back, and had 2 fingers shot
Because
off.
as the little kid mentioned, don't worry, she's a nurse. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
it's gonna help.
That was
Also-
that was another thing.
Also, she like comes through the water. Like she just
Like a-
appears in the water like she was Jesus.
And also,
Like,
like you are in the middle of a river, a creek, or whatever, dying. Some woman who just saved her kids' lives and was willing to shoot somebody for her kids starts swimming towards you, and you feel the need to clarify, like she's there to help. Like at this point, I am bleeding out on a rock. I don't give a shit if Satan himself is swimming towards me. I'm not concerned. Like I'm not being like, they might come hurt me. I'm already dying. Like, what are we doing?
That was literally just to explain to the audience why O'Shea Jackson was going to survive this encounter after
Yeah.
getting shot in the neck.
Yeah.
Like,
It
don't
would have
worry.
been funnier if he died, to be honest. Like,
Totally would have been. All right. Final scores out of 10,
Oh
gentlemen.
God!
Oh.
5.
Wow.
It was
Okay.
exactly what I'll give it a 4.5.
Okay.
Because getting back to what Saul said, it was exactly what I expected, maybe a little less funny than I expected.
Okay.
Middle of the road.
I'm gonna go like a 3.7.
Okay.
Just to your point that there were scenes in Avatar that were unintentionally funnier than just about any scene in this movie. So I'll go 3.7.
I will say I'm like very easily impressed by movies. Like I generally speaking will enjoy watching just about any movie except Wonder Woman 84. That movie was terrible.
That movie was worse than this, honestly.
Yeah, it was. That Wonder Woman 84 is one of the worst movies. I was the only movie I can think of in my entire life where I had to turn it off midway through because it was so bad.
Birdemic. Try watching Birdemic.
That sounds like one of those movies though where you can't be surprised by how bad it is.
Yeah, no, you're right.
All right. I'm gonna go with a 3.
Okay.
I thought it was pretty bad, and after after thinking about it, for a
Funnier than
long
anything in the movie.
Yeah, like I mean, there was a couple chuckle parts and then a couple like woo, but other than that, it fell short of my already low expectations, which is saying something. So I can't, in good conscience, give it anything more than a 4. I'm going to give it a 3.
Absolutely no reason the movie should have had the cast it did. Like just thinking about it in general, no reason at all. It should have been a way better movie based just on how good of actors were in it.
Well, also, it should have been a way better movie just based off the name.
Yes.
Like the name, it literally, like, there's not a lot of times where you come up with a clever title that immediately gets your attention. And Cocaine Bear absolutely did that, and they just shat the bed.
Right. This was No Snakes on a Plane. Like it had the title, it was intentionally bad, and it like leaned fully into it and gave us some memorable stuff. This gave a couple of memorable moments, but I feel like it was just the writers in a room, stoned as shit.
Yeah.
Like, let's do a movie about that bear that was on cocaine, but what if he didn't die? And then they just like didn't do anything good with it.
Yeah.
Did you realize Elizabeth Banks is is the director of this?
And I love Elizabeth Banks too. Like, she's hilarious to me.
There must have been a lot of money in this movie.
There has to be.
Like, I mean, you don't get Ray Liotta like without there being a lot of money. Like, it seemed like there was such an opportunity here, and it was missed.
There was, and it had some moments, but I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10 as well. I felt like it didn't fully live up to even my low expectations of just leaning in. But that's going to do it for our show. You can follow me at Gerald Bourget. You can follow Saul at Saul_Bookman. You can follow Totri at Anthony_Totri. And you can follow Shawn DePaz at Shawn_DePaz. Until next time, keep it G-rated.